This is Between the Lines. Today, we dissect the road less traveled.
Hello, this is Carol again with The Road Less Traveled and chapter 35. And in this chapter, we see the case of Marcia. Remember that we've been talking about a previous clinical case regarding religious matters and also about God. And in this case, Marcia was kind of the opposite to Katie, because Katie was super religious. And Marcia considered herself an atheist. She didn't believe in God. She thought that God was an illusion, a delusion actually, and she thought that God was, according to her parents, and she totally agreed with them, was believing in God or going to a religious place and having a religion was kind of useless. Marcia was the only daughter, the only child of intellectual parents that were also university professors, and they were more, they prioritized their personal careers over Marcia most of the time. So she felt, in many cases, she lacked of attention from her parents. And they were wealthy. She was a wealthy girl, we could say, in her 20s. And despite of having all the resources at hand, she suffered from anhedonia. And anhedonia, if you remember, is the inability to experience joy or to feel pleasure. So she was most of the time just joyless, as the doctor describes her. And this, actually, I wanted to make a distinction between anhedonia and apathy. And apathy is just feeling total indifference for any kind of sentiment or emotion or feeling. So she was joyless. And another thing the doctor mentions about her is that when she started therapy, she would use filthy, desaturated colored clothes. I mean, those in mostly like tending to gray colors. And she also wore ragged clothes and accessories, and everything she wore was kind of seemed like being old. And the doctor once addressed that, and he told her, "You dress like an orphan." And well, of course, she didn't agree with that at first, but during during therapy, she started changing those behaviors, their way of seeing the world. And when she declared she was an atheist, she remembered that she considered herself an atheist from any point of view. She was, again, in accordance to their parents, thinking that God was a total delusion, because she remembered that once when she was a teenager in the previous years or adolescent, her parents mocked her because she had gone to church with a friend. And after she came back from church, they made funny jokes about religion being useless, basically. And she thought that religion was a waste of time. And however, the doctor mentions that despite of that, and through therapy, she was telling, for example, about her dreams, and most of her dreams had a high content of religious symbolism in them. But at the time, he didn't say anything. He just took notes because he didn't want to interfere with the way the therapy was going. So she didn't address that specific. He didn't address that specifically to Marcia. And as therapy progressed, she started growing up. She started becoming better and feeling a little bit more, I don't know if happier is the word, but like feeling good things. She also started to dress differently. She started to wear more colored clothes, and she, for example, he mentions she had a backpack which was totally ragged, and she changed that in after her first year of therapy and started dressing more colorful. And she seemed like a little bit more happier than before. And in the last sessions, the doctor asked her how was she feeling and what was she thinking about the things they have been talking about. And she said that she felt connected with everything else outside of her. And she also felt that she was feeling good, and maybe after all there could be a God out there connecting all these things, and that thought made her think of being part of something else, something greater than herself. So despite this chapter is really short, the doctor wants to stop here with the little kind of conclusion, saying, okay, we have seen Kathy being totally religious and believing in a punishing God, and she had to do everything God said in order not to be punished. And when she went through therapy, after that, she decided maybe God was not really to be followed through completely through the teachings of her religion. And however, in this case, starting from an atheist, Marcia started to believe in God in the end. So it was like from the same therapist, two different results with two different people, of course, but the same therapist questioning their beliefs. And so he asked himself here in this chapter, how can this be? But even before answering this question, we will see another clinical case, and then the doctor will give some kind of conclusion on this matter of religion and God, and should the therapist address this topic or not, and also does therapy change your perception of or thoughts and perceptions and ideas and feelings about God after you go through therapy, and how? So that's it for today. Actually, it's really short, this chapter, and I hope we find another interesting and enlightening clinical case in the next chapter. So see you next Sunday. Bye bye.
Stay tuned for Uluwa's next episode.